If you have ever gone grocery shopping or watched television for at least an hour, I can almost guarantee you that you have seen food companies market or advertise their products as healthy, organic, low-fat, keto-friendly, or diet, with the intention of making consumers believe that their product is a healthier alternative to what is normally the standard for that product. But unfortunately, a majority of the time, all of that excessive marketing is used as a way to overcompensate for the incredibly toxic ingredients that are really inside their product. For example, soda companies started labeling their sodas as diet as a way to make their sodas appear healthier to the masses. But they coincidentally forgot to mention that an added ingredient was aspartame, which is known to have terrible and extremely toxic side effects such as increased risk of cancer, cardiac disease, and heart attacks. And as you can most likely assume, those really aren't things that you want to be using as a way to market your product. Moral of the story though, just because a product is marketed as healthy, it doesn't mean it actually is. And unfortunately, a majority of the time, if a company is really oversaturating the market and constantly pushing their item as something that's healthy, it most likely is quite the opposite. With that being said, it is crucial for consumers to know exactly what's inside the items they're putting into their body in order to prevent unnecessary side effects like heart disease or cancer. So to start, we probably all know what's considered healthy, right? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. But somehow, in America at least, people have seemed to have forgotten the fundamentals of health, or what a healthy life even looks like. With over half the population being morbidly obese, it seems we have no idea what health even is. And with the majority of supermarkets being primarily lined with artificial or processed foods and commercials and advertisements being centered around overconsumption, it's easy to see why. Being healthy isn't easy, and being healthy takes hard work and dedication. And unlike most overly processed foods, healthy foods aren't designed to target dopamine centers in the brain, leading to constant overconsumption. But the good news is, once we become aware of this, once we become aware of the agenda, then we can begin to change our eating habits, our exercising habits, and overall change our life habits. Okay. For starters, I'm going to assume we've all eaten something out of a package before, whether it be out of a can, out of a box, out of tinfoil, out of a plastic container, you get my point. But the unfortunate thing is, most of the packages themselves are lined with poisonous and toxic chemicals. For example, the majority of packaging used in takeout, candy bars, and non-stick items contains a chemical called perfluorotonic acid, or PFOA, which I will be calling PFOA for the rest of this video because I don't actually know how to say this word. And according to an FDA study, PFOA is highly toxic and once ingested inside the body stays there for years. And animal studies have linked it to an increased risk of pancreatic, liver, and testicle cancer, along with birth defects, developmental problems, weakened immune system, and elevated total cholesterol. And as you can assume, none of these are beneficial to our health in any way. And we can't forget the classic bisphenol A, which is more commonly known as BPA. And it is a component used in polycarbonated plastics that are most commonly used for bottled waters or drinks or linings in a lot of canned foods. Now, BPA's health risks stem from its estrogen-like effects on the body, which is why you see so many negative health effects from this, because an unnatural increase in estrogen is very toxic for the body and especially toxic for men. Animal studies show BPA exposure to include reproductive issues, linking in miscarriages and infertility and birth defects, as well as an increased risk for breast and prostate cancer, liver damage, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and metabolic and nerve disorders. And you thought I was done, didn't you? There's more. A biological study done at the University of Missouri showed how BPA acts as an endocrine disruptor, interrupting our hormonal patterns and actually reprogramming our genes. Over 1,000 published peer-reviewed studies have linked BPA to extraordinarily toxic health problems. But, as always, don't fret too much because there are ways to combat the consumption of these terrible products on a regular basis. Firstly, always look at the labeling on your products. and once you have found a reliable brand, you most likely won't have to do this again. When looking for ways to avoid PFOA in products, always try to avoid products labeled as non-stick or grease resistant, since those products are going to be the ones that have the most amount of PFOA in it, since that's what it was originally designed to do. And if you can't avoid packages with PFOA, as with things such as stick butter, take it out immediately out of the package and place it inside a glass or ceramic container. When looking for ways to avoid BPA, check for the packaging, and again, stay away from bottles with the number 7 inside of the little recycling symbol, or bottles with a PC labeled on them, since this is going to be an indicator that BPA was used in the process of creating that bottle. You thought I was done, didn't you? You silly goose. Next up, we have problematic packaging, quote unquote, the labeling, because yes, they can legally lie about what they're putting inside their products. You might notice a lot of products being labeled as natural, which you would naturally assume means that it is healthy and natural, coming from the earth and is unaltered by man, which is not true as always. The term natural is not defined by the government, so technically this means that the product can still contain toxic ingredients and additives. For example, Breyer's ice cream labeled their products as all natural, but it was still incredibly high in fat and saturated fat, which had absolutely zero health benefits. Another labeling trick is the trans fat loophole, wherein if a product's trans fat total is less than 1/2 gram per serving, they can label their product as 0 trans fat, even though that is not actually true. And this is terrible because you're actually going to be ingesting these trans fats, and trans fat has been linked to inflammation, insulin resistance, heart disease, and adds a 34% risk of all-cause mortality. So now that you understand the importance of labeling and packaging and why something so simple can have such a huge effect on your health, it's time to start implementing these into your daily life and finding ways to avoid toxic chemicals that have absolutely zero health benefits and are only going to be hurting your health, while simultaneously being labeled as something that's good for you and something that you should be consuming. And if you really want to make this even a simpler process for you, just eating natural fruits and vegetables and seeds and nuts and anything that grows naturally on this earth is going to be one of the easiest ways to avoid toxic packaging, especially organic products though, because even fruits and vegetables that are non-organic are laced with other toxic chemicals that are used as fertilizers or ways to clean off pests and bugs, and those chemicals oftentimes are even worse than the ones used in packages. Now, with that being said, hopefully this information doesn't seem too damning, and you still will find a way to find products that you enjoy that are actually healthy for you and aren't going to be causing all of these side effects. Now, if you enjoyed this video or found anything useful in this information, don't be shy and go ahead and leave a like, comment, or subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and it will let me know that you like this type of video so I can make a part 2 where I talk about the toxic chemicals used in fresh produce and things like that, because there is a lot. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, mwah, have a beautiful day.